The morning the hoe tried to block me from reaching my own cabin, I remember laughing, and not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd that I couldn't believe grown adults could act with such arrogance. They thought they had power over me. They thought they could dictate where I could and couldn't go. What they didn't realize was that I held a car they hadn't even considered. The only bridge leading into that entire development belonged to me. My cabin wasn't just a place to sleep, it was a sanctuary built with my own two hands alongside my late father. Every plank of wood carried memories of our summers together, hammering nails under the sun, and every creak of the floorboards reminded me of evenings spent around the fireplace, telling stories. It was more than property, it was family. That's why, when the HOA president, a woman named Marjorie, decided to teach me a lesson, she underestimated the storm she was inviting. It started innocently enough. I'd received letters in the mail, the kind with official-looking seals and thick paper meant to intimidate. They said I was in violation of community standards, the standards I never agreed to because my cabin was built years before the HOA ever existed. The land was private, separate from their contracts, but that didn't matter to them. Marjorie's letters accused me of everything from improper paint colors on my shutters to the fact that my pickup truck was unsightly when parked near the riverbank. I ignored most of it until one weekend. I arrived to find a massive steel gate installed at the end of the dirt road. A padlock hung from it like a sneer, and a bright red sign read, "Access restricted, home members only." I stood there, hands on my hips, staring at the ridiculous barrier. Marjorie herself soon appeared, smug in her pressed blouse, with a clipboard tucked under her arm. "You can't enter," she said curtly, adjusting her sunglasses, "until you pay your dues and bring your property up to code. Your access is revoked." Something in me snapped. This wasn't just a gate out, it was her way of erasing everything my father and I built, everything that made that land sacred to me. I smiled, but not the friendly kind. "Marjorie," I said slowly, "do you even know whose land you're standing on?" Her eyebrows arched, but she waved me off, lecturing about rules and regulations as if reading from a script. That's when I dropped the truth she never saw coming. "This road, this bridge you're using to block me, it's mine. My father bought the rights to it decades ago, without my permission. None of you can even get into your homes." For a moment, the color drained from her face. She sputtered, then quickly recovered, accusing me of bluffing. But I wasn't bluffing. I had the deed, the legal papers, everything. That bridge, an old steel structure stretching across the creek, was private property. Without it, the entire neighborhood beyond was landlocked. I could have ripped that gate down right then and there, but I didn't. Instead, I let her think she had the upper hand for just a little while longer. Over the next week, I watched them scramble. The HOA sent me threats, then offers to buy the bridge. Neighbors I'd never met showed up on my porch, some polite, some demanding. A few even accused me of holding them hostage. But the truth was simple. I wasn't blocking anyone. They brought this upon themselves when Marjorie locked me out first. One evening, an older couple, Mr. and Mrs. Greenia, came to speak with me. They'd lived in the neighborhood for years and loved my father dearly. Mrs. Green's eyes watered as she apologized for Marjorie's behavior. They told me how the HOA had turned into a bully, enforcing rules that stripped people of joy, telling them what color flowers they could plant, how tall their grass could grow, even fining a veteran down the street for hanging an American flag too large on his porch. Their voices cracked with exhaustion. That night, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore, so I made a choice. The next HOA meeting was held at the community hall, just past the bridge. Normally, I avoided their gatherings like the plague, but this time I walked in, calm and steady. Marjorie's eyes widened the moment she saw me, but she covered it quickly with a smirk. "You're trespassing," she hissed. "No," I said, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "I own the bridge. Without me, none of you could even be here tonight." The room went silent. Whispers rippled across the crowd as I pulled out a copy of the deed and placed it on the table in front of her. "For weeks, you've tried to push me out of land that's been in my family longer than this HOA has existed. You locked me out of my home. You insulted the memory of my father. But here's the reality: you don't control me. In fact, if I wanted to, I could close off that bridge tomorrow and none of you would have access to your homes." Gasps filled the room. People turned to Marjorie, some glaring, others shaking their heads. Her smugness cracked, replaced with panic. "But I'm not going to do that," I continued, my voice steady. "Because unlike your president, I don't believe in bullying people to get my way. All I ask is to be left alone on my land. No dues, no rules, no harassment. And if this hoe continues its nonsense, then yes, maybe I will reconsider who gets to cross my bridge." That was the breaking point. Neighbors stood, some clapping, others demanding Marjorie's resignation. The power she thought she had evaporated in an instant. A week later, the gate was gone. The hoe backed off, licking its wounds, while whispers spread about electing a new board altogether. The Greens visited me often after that, bringing pies and stories of how the neighborhood felt lighter without Marjorie's tyranny. As for me, I sat on my cabin porch one evening, watching the sun dip behind the trees, the old bridge gleaming faintly in the fading light. It struck me then, power doesn't always come from control, it comes from standing your ground, from refusing to be intimidated, and from protecting what truly matters. The lesson was clear: when you hold firm to your principles, no gate, no rule, no self-important hoe president can take away your freedom. And as I sat there, I couldn't help but smile. That bridge wasn't just steel and bolts, it was legacy, resilience, and proof that sometimes the best revenge is simply reminding people who really holds the keys.